Are you on social media? Should the owners of social media have the right to block you and your content? Social media has given us a freedom that we've never experienced before. Before, we used to have to convince the large networks and the large newspapers that our story, that our information was worthy of being published. And how they evaluated how it was worthy is they would look at the dollars and cents, how it can bring in viewers, and of course, in the course of bringing in viewers, have the viewers watch the commercials and so forth. So today, there's a new thing that's happened, and the new thing has allowed us to, with any amount of effort, if we can get a message onto social media, if it's valuable, if it's information that gives people and people like it, and when I say like it, they like it, it gets shared over and over and over, and it grows and it grows and it grows. So now we don't need the big corporations' permission. We can just get our message out there. We don't need a huge amount of education. We don't need a whole team of people. You can create and you can upload. And again, if it adds value to people's lives, it gets liked over and over and shared around the world. It's incredible what we've got in front of us. A lot of these social medias, when they start out, they start small. Some start in dorm rooms, some start in garages. It's incredible where they've come from all around the world. And it's pretty interesting because they ask people to sign up for free, and they simply have a little etiquette, follow these simple rules, and bang, you're in. You've got a social media account. And it's really interesting as they grow and they get bigger and they get stronger. While you're using the social media platform and you're putting information in and you're sharing with people and your message is being liked, you'll get a notification, and it's a update of the terms and conditions. It's more legalized, it's at a higher level, but who reads that? You click yes and you move forward. We don't have time to read that. We're in social media. We're sharing information. We're sharing our passion, whether that be baking bread or showing somebody how to fix a bike. It's an incredible system. So recently, we see more and more people crossing the line, crossing the rules line, where you say something that maybe you shouldn't say, you offend their system, you pass the rules, you go beyond. And those people are restricted on their account. Maybe they're blocked out for 24 hours, maybe 48 hours. Generally, I've seen this done, and it really brings the people back into line to follow the social media guideline, the rules, the terms and conditions. And what happens is most people just kind of straighten up and they don't want to cross that line again because they've got a lot invested. They've put a lot of their heart and soul into this with their content and so forth. And they're very careful that they don't cross the line going forward. Now, in the case of Trump, as we all know, Trump recently, his accounts have been stopped, blocked, and it's a very sad thing. You see, it's not about Trump. It's about the fact that they are killing Trump socially. They haven't killed him physically. They haven't touched him at all physically. But on the social media, they have stopped him. They have began, and they're in the process of erasing Trump. Now, don't get me wrong. If Trump is wrong, he's wrong. But the way it's going about it is certainly wrong. So what's happened in a normal case where somebody is being blamed for something, you bring him into a court of law. The court of law, through a process, will show whether the person is guilty or not. Assuming he's guilty, they look after it according to the processes laid forward. Now, that said, what social media has done here is they have deemed him guilty without any understanding. He's just guilty. As well, not just him, but all of his followers, many of his followers. Their accounts have been blocked, have been shut down, some for a little while, and some indefinitely. We're losing freedom of speech in this process. So the sad thing of losing this freedom of speech is, again, somebody in California, they think that you and I are too dumb to look at something online and for us, you and I, to determine if it's true or not true. They think that we need their protection because we can't figure it out for ourselves. In fact, they've gone so far now is to withhold the information from us so that we don't even get an opportunity to view the information and try to make a judgment of whether something is right or something is wrong. This, again, is a huge disservice to freedom of speech. It totally is. We can actually reason with some of these social media companies. How do they manage all of these posts? Like, I've read somewhere where it's an enormous amount of posts going up every minute. So how do you deal with it? How do they deal with it? Well, with a little bit of looking, I've learned that in Indonesia, there are tech companies that have set up these services, and these services help the social media companies understand many things about everything being uploaded. So they are watching over us, they're protecting us. Now, believe it or not, there are so many people out there that sign up to the free social media accounts, and really they're not very sound people. There's some people trying to put up child pornography. There's other people trying to put up the craziest things, even terroristic acts and so on. So at these tech companies, these people work full shifts. It's a high-stress job. And so what happens is they can sit and view up to 24,000 images within a shift. That's a lot. Now, what I've read is that these are extremely stressful things because, again, they see the worst of the worst. And with a click of the mouse, they are deleted, banned, and so forth. But one side note is these people go home and they're stressed. They've just saw 24,000 images, and I would like to hope that a whole bunch of them are good, but what I read is a lot of them are really bad and they never actually get out to the public view. Now, it's sad. Now, the social media company, what they have done is they have gone to a place, Indonesia, and they have been able to set up where there's a lot of workers available. There's not a lot of responsibility to take care of the workers, even though they get stressed and they have nightmares from the grotesque things that they've seen day after day after day. It's really sad that has happened, but that is how they manage it. And again, 24,000 images per shift. It's also good to know that the social media companies that set up these tech companies, they're in a favorable tax jurisdiction. They're not in some of the higher tax jurisdictions where they can offer all of this. So that is exactly how they are managing the massive uploads of videos, photos, audio, all this stuff. It is a fair question. Who makes up these social media rules? Obviously, the companies themselves, their team, their players. And these rules, I have to say, are necessary. I've read through some of the rules of a couple of the social media pages that I partake in. And you know what? Yes, I agree with them. There's a lot of good things that they're saying. Now, they're not perfect. I'm sure if you were to look at the social media rules yourself, you would have to say the same thing, that you agree with most of it, and some is like, really? But this is what we sign up and we agree to their terms and conditions. Therefore, we have to follow their rules. It's like, it's my sandbox. You can come and play in my sandbox, but you got to play by my rules. Now, Donald Trump, he's a smart guy. There's no doubt about it. He's done a lot of interesting things in his life, and he would most likely have read the terms and conditions, or he would have had somebody read them and explain it to him and deliver it to him. So how How could he screw up? How could he get to a point where he blew it and he lost it and all of a sudden he's being shut off social media? What happened? So could it have been the interpretation of the rules that got him in trouble? You know, to me, it looks like it could be the interpretation because we all know what he said. We all know what took place. But if we just take one other step back, just a little bit, a movement that we've all heard of throughout America this summer, Black Lives Matter. It's interesting. You know, the social media pages were smoking with threats and with rants about let's go smash the windows, let's go pilfer, let's go do this, let's go do that. They were so crude and rude, and they didn't hide it. They put it out on the social media, and people by the hundreds, by the thousands in many different cities across America gathered and again used these social media pages to put together their groups and all of these things. Now, if interpretation was, like, come on, it doesn't make sense that they shut Trump down, but they don't shut that down because they obviously were ignoring the acts of violence that the people were talking about on the social media, the planning of the damaging and destructing of personal properties. They outright ignored it. So where am I going with all this? What has happened? Big companies, they were telling us what to do, telling us what not to do for a long time. Government's been telling us what to do and what not to do for a long time. So now social media comes on, and you and I, we can put a message on social media and we can be liked and we can talk about pretty much anything we want to talk about as long as we stay within the rules. But essentially, what we've done is we've given them the approval to tell us where we go outside of the lines, right? That's what we've done. And in doing that, it's their sandbox and we need to play by their rules. Either way, it's such a sad thing what we see that has happened. A question for you is, one, are you on social media? Are you a content provider? Two, even if you're not a content provider, do you post and make posts about certain content that's written? Secondly, do you think that social media companies should have the right to shut you down? Shut you down, shut other people down, people who come up with different ideas. Do they have a right to shut them down? When you're on the free social media page that you've signed up for, realize it's their sandbox. It's their rules. That's what we signed up for. And until something changes, we've got to follow their rules. It's just what we signed up for. In the case of Donald Trump, well, be careful that you too don't become erased or just kicked off and forgotten about. I have to say, it is such a huge blow to freedom of speech.